guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 10 by 20 inch canvas, gorgeous sunrise with these beautiful mountains, little cabin, a little bit of river down around the bottom. Turned out fantastic. You're obviously excited about painting this one. That's why you clicked on the link. So check the description down below, find all the colors you need, make sure you get your canvas nice and wet, get ready to throw some paint on it. We're gonna do it just like this. Hey guys, welcome back. My goodness. Okay, now we've taken this canvas, it's a 10 by 20 inch canvas, a little bit different size than we're normally used to, and we've covered it in white acrylic gesso yesterday, a couple days ago. Let it dry, right? It's all dry, all crazy. Now we're going to take our Bob Ross liquid white oil paint, which is a very liquidy paint, hence its name, liquid white, right? Shake up the jar. Going to come over here. Whatever gets caught up inside the jar lid is just about enough. You don't really need much more than that. Dab our brush into it, just like that. Come up here, kind of dump it in one spot, maybe down on the bottom, maybe over here, maybe up in the top, just so there's not everything all in one spot, right? It was a little thick right there. Maybe dump it around. Now we'll just go back and we'll start to work at it, right? My shaky old easel. Start to work at it, blend it back and forth, try to bring those two pieces of liquid white together until our canvas is nice and slick and wet, right? When we have this gesso on the canvas, it's much smoother. It allows the paint to stretch further. Right? Get a little bit more, again, dump a little bit in different places. That way it's all not in one big giant glob. All right, then we can stretch it, connect those areas, twist it back and forth, rocking our hands like this. Bam, 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 bam. Twist, twist, twist. X shapes. Boom, 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 boom. Just like that. And I understand if you're going to fast forward through this part, a lot of people don't know how to do it, so we try to show you. And then we'll get to the sunsets. Don't worry, you guys have actually already seen the painting. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm about to make it up as we go. And you think I say that as a joke? I'm literally about to make it up. I've never even painted on a canvas like this in this orientation before. So we're going to decide, we're going to make a scene, and we're going to try to, I'm not going to make a scene, not up here. You can't make a scene with just one person in a room, right? So we're going to make a landscape that we've really never painted before and make it up as we go and show you all the mistakes and all the times we mess up and how to correct them, right? I always say, when we do these, just like Bob Ross, right? I was watching an episode the other day, he's like, there's no editing here. What you see is what you get. And it's the same when I do my live shows, and it's the same in here. I don't clip much out. If anything, it's just the brush cleaning and me dabbing the stuff and trying to think of what to say next in the bloopers bit. That's where most of the editing comes in. But here, we're just literally doing it in one take. Whatever you see is what we did. And a lot of times I'll clip out, bits where I take too long away from the camera. That's a camera. And that's about it. I like you to feel like it's just me and you hanging out in your room or wherever your painting room is, in your kitchen or in your office or in a little place inside your house where you have your place set up, right? Just me and you hanging out. So we don't like to clip much out is what we're saying. Now we're going to wash the brush. If you haven't seen how we wash the brush, I have a YouTube short on how to wash brushes. Takes you 1 minute, very simple. I think the video is actually less than 1 minute. And always dab it off on a paper towel. You have to dab it off. Now the way to test, we're going to touch our canvas. And you can see there's not too much paint on my glove. A lot of little dimples you can see in the still in my glove. That means it's not too thick, right? We've taken it, we've stretched it as far as we can. It's not super thick down here. It's not super thick over here. It's very much the same across the board. Okay, now we're going to take a little bit of our liquid white. And grab up our old palette knife here. Wipe off any paint that's from last night's show because it's Saturday for me, even though you're watching this Wednesday. We're going to dip into our liquid white, and then we're going to kind of dab it into the lid, right? And get a little liquid white in there just for some highlights in case we need them. And then whatever we don't use, we can scrape up and toss back in there or just throw out. You don't need a whole lot, right? It's not even enough to fill the lid. Nothing crazy, no huge amount. Wipe our knife off. Try to keep a clean area to dab our brushes off. Now we're going to move our paint over here, and now we have our little petri dish of liquid white that we'll be able to keep. All right, let's go through the colors. Make sure our brushes are dry. We did a lot of blue painting on Friday night, so there's a lot of blue still left in my brushes. I'm trying to get it all out. See, this is things that we like to cut, right? When I'm not really doing anything. I'm not showing you anything. I'm just kind of taking time and dabbing my brushes out so they're nice and clean. All right, we'll go through the colors here. Yellow ochre this time, just because I couldn't find the cadmium yellow, and this was staring me right in the eye in the box. Bright red, just a tiny little amount. The Prussian blue from Friday night show. The Phthalo blue from Friday night show. Alizarin crimson, midnight black, titanium white. And we're going to do something like a mountainous scene. I don't know. I wanted to do a waterfall, but I would want the bottom half black if I was going to do a waterfall. We're going to do that in the future. But for right now, let's just do this. We're going to switch to a 1-inch brush, nice and dry, very kind of firm, but very soft. It's hard to describe. And let's see, let's get our old cup out. So let's get a little bit of the cad yellow onto the brush. Don't need a whole lot of paint, just enough to cover the bristles just a little bit. And it's kind of like a much darker color than the yellow ochre than the cad yellow. See, one more thing to cut out, that burp right there. Now, let's see. We're gonna start on this side, right? We're gonna put our cup in here, and then we're just gonna go around the edge, just a little bit, only about half, because we're gonna end up covering it all anyway. Okay, we're gonna take some of that, blend it out away from the middle, right? And then just slightly. You don't need it a whole lot. Just wanna have that little light area, and then we can come in here with our mountain and just save the smallest little bit. But you can tell how that yellow ochre is much darker yellow than the cad yellow that we normally use. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the red, just a couple swipes, mix that in with the yellow, just so it's a slightly different color, a little bit darker orange. And then we're going to come up here. It's not all that bright red. It's just a mixture of both. Just a little bit of paint on there. Don't need a whole lot. There we go. Just so it's a different color. So that's a little darker. And then we're going to go darker, 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 until we get the effects that we want. Now let's come into our crimson, kind of pull that guy out, mix him a little with our red. Now we've got red and yellow and crimson on the brush. We're going to come up here, it's going to be a different color. How about that? Look at that. Cover the sides real quick, because we always forget to do it while we're kind of doing the same color. Let's put a little bit of the crimson over there. Maybe we'll work it down. Maybe it'll change. It'll do something. Let's figure it out here. Step into your way real quick. Remember, you can get your Paint with Josh hats at etsy.com/paintwithjosh. Sorry, paintwithjosh/etsy.com. There we go. paintwithjosh/etsy.com. I can't even speak. My goodness, a little bit more of that color. It's so gorgeous. I love it. Why don't we kind of try to do what we were doing down in here too? A little bit of that. Go back to the red and the crimson. Just try to match it down in here. Maybe it'll end up being something, maybe it won't, but we'll decide. And it'll be, you know, little bits of shadow or little bits of something. And yours might be different, and you don't have to follow the tutorial perfectly, right? I'm going to give you an idea, and as you're painting, you're going to see something, and you're going to go, man, that looks really cool if mine did this. And then when you do that, it is going to look really cool, and yours is going to be even better than mine. So don't worry about that. A little bit of the crimson and the blue together. We're going to start to make purple right here. Gonna dump it up in the top. Look at how dark that is. Ooh, spooky. It's so spooky up here. Look at that. Ooh. All right, just getting a little bit dark. It's gonna mix in with those colors and start to go, a lighter color. So, especially down here. Look at that. Ooh, it's gorgeous. All right, maybe leave just a little bit of sheen right in the middle. They don't all have to be the same. The color doesn't have to be the same. You want there to be what, guys? What do my fans know? I'm about to say differences in color. That's right. Gotta have differences in color. Otherwise, it's all just one bland color. Look at that. Light, dark, very light, super bright. You know what I mean? It doesn't all have to be the same. And it looks better when it's not. And it'll give you a cool idea when you're going to do something else. And, as we work our way down here, we're going to find something. We're going to change the color of everything. It's going to be amazing. So, let's grab our 2-inch brush just because it's easier. It's going to help us spread it faster. We're going to work in our lightest area. Man, there's going to be a lot of bloopers in this one, just in, like not even at the end, just in it. Okay, gonna work it in like this, very softly. We don't want to lose all that bright white. And if you see me look over here at the camera, if you were watching Friday's show, I showed you guys the TV. It's like a triangle of view, right? If I'm looking at it at this weird view with a lot of glare, you guys get to look at it perfectly straight on. So I have another camera right next to you that shows me on the TV what you guys can see. You see what I mean? It's a little triangle, trifecta of views over here. So don't be discouraged if I'm not looking right at you, right? Because there's nothing over here to see except the iPad, and, what is that going to show me? Nothing. I need to see what the painting looks like. So instead of going like this every 5 seconds and getting in your way, right? Then I got to look over here. Now I have to check that the camera didn't go out of focus. All right, we've taken our brush into the lightest area, right? There's not going to be much over here but a giant mountain, so we don't really need to cover that area. We're just going to blend back and forth, crisscrossing, trying not to leave a hard line of color, trying to let it blend together. So we have these gorgeous colors starting to become all one kind of very soft thing. See, even where it's hard line right here, take it, blend it out, pull it down. We use these colors like this so we can make these these things and blend them together without them turning a different color. Right, all into our light areas. Make it nice and soft. We don't want to go into the dark and then come back into our light, right? Nice and soft. Now, once we come up into our darkness, it's going to really want to grow really far. So you have to be very soft with your X's. Soft little X's. Not like with your ex-boyfriends, right? Or your ex-girlfriends. You got to be rough with those. But you got to be soft with these little X's right here. Very soft until you start to blend it down. So you can't really tell where we had those colors initially. And then we got to finish the top, of course. Blend it in. Now we can easily start to take some of this dark color that's up here and make cool little bits of clouds out of it that start to come in front of our little open sun, right? Without even mixing any colors or anything. Just taking the color that we'd already worked our way onto the brush. Take a little bit of that right across that light area. We're going to save the smallest little bit of that lightness right in front of that cloud. So cute. Right here, taking it very, 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 very softly with just the couple hairs on the end. Just trying to get it to be soft, just like that. Little cloud, all from up here and working our colors in, right? That's all we did. And remember, we have that blue color, or that dark kind of grayish color on here. So you could add in different pieces, right? Just by coming up here, grabbing a little bit more on the brush, and maybe off in the distance, way up there, there was like another weird shaped one, kind of like that, right? Swiping it, just so soft, because it's way back there. It's not the focal point. We don't have to worry about it, right? As long as you got a little difference in color back there, then we're gonna be all set. Again, not even taking any color from the palette, just kind of finishing off our little bit of cloud over there, because he looked a little low to me. Maybe it's part of this whole big cloud and it's off in another scene. Another scene that we haven't even painted, right? Very softly, leaving it nice and light underneath there. Maybe our mountain can come down now and just grab a piece of that light sky underneath. It'd be fantastic. Okay, come back here. We're gonna finish off our bottom. Bam, 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 bam. Nice and soft. Josh G. Boom, 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 boom. Back and forth across the whole thing. Very cool. Very soft, very neat. Get our sides done so we don't have to worry about those. And every so often, go back and look at your sides again, because there would have like sunk in a bit of color, and now it needs to be blended out again. Very cool. All right, you can even take your clouds and just kind of pull them wherever you want. Push that color. It's like those little beaded like things where you swipe it and it turns into one thing. You swipe it and goes to the other color. You can do that with the paint and move it back and forth. Very cool. All right, let's take our fan brush. We need to throw a shadowy bit of a cloud back here, but I don't want to use the same shadow, obviously. So let's make a new color. We'll take our crimson, maybe a little bit of our white. Ooh, I like that lavendery color mixed with that white. Ooh, that's nice right there. That's a cool bit of color. Maybe grab a littlest bit of red in there just to change it up so it's a different color than it is back here. And maybe along the edge there was like a giant bit of cloud that kind of breaks up the difference in color right there. So we have something to look at that's breaking up all of that harsh line. Okay? Take our brush. Let's get a new brush so we don't have to wash that one. Very softly, very, very, very softly with a clean, dry brush. No other paint on this brush. We don't want it to grow. And we don't want to cover up all the beautiful colors inside there either. Now, let's get another fan brush, nice clean fan brush, into our white. And we're going to come in, we're going to pop in just a couple little things, a couple little areas of light in there, little areas of dark. Leave room for it to mix over here. Don't want to cover up all that, right? Going to come back with that clean, dry brush. Very softly, just start to mix those circles. Very soft. We don't want to cover up all of the beautiful oranges back behind there too, right? Just very soft until it's nice and light. It doesn't have to be textured, doesn't have to do anything. Nice and light. Swipe her up. Just like that. Over to the side. Get these nice soft, puffy clouds off in the distance. Come back. A little bit more white onto our brush. It's going to mix in a little bit with that stuff. Let's grab a little bit of the yellow ochre over here. A little bit more of the white so we've got our little color going. All right, don't want it to be too yellow, but we don't want it to be too white either. That's almost exactly the same color as the sky. So let's wipe that off. We need to come back with our white. There we go. Pop it in a little bit thicker. Maybe a little off on that guy back there. Just a little. Right, get our brush that's mainly clean. We've only done a few little clouds with it. Go over the top. Boom. Got a cool little bit of cloud like that. Come back over here. Got a cool little bit of cloud like this. And we don't even have to highlight all of it. Right? We want it to be different. We don't want it to be all the same. We put that shadow in there just so it'll be a little bit different when we get these cool little details that come in. That'll be different in yours too, right? They're not going to be the same. Softly, softly. We're not using so much paint that when we swipe over these, it's going to change the look, right? We just want it to be soft back there. Very cool. Very cool little thing. Very, very cool little thing. Bam, 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 bam. Just like that, making a nice, soft little sunset. Very neat. Okay, let's mix up a little bit of mountain color. Now, in order to do that, we're going to take that crimson and blue that made that purpley mixture, grab a little bit of the black, scrape it all up, and just make this dark color inside here, just like this. Just flatten it out, making sure it's all mixed together and blended nice and perfectly like that. And then we're just going to come in, we're going to scrape up a bit of it, and we're going to make this, you know what, let's make it a little bit lighter of a color first. Take a little bit of white, mix it in. That'll push this mountain further off in the distance, right? And then we can make one that's much closer as well. Bam, take that guy back here. Who knows, maybe he's coming down right underneath that bit of cloud. Remember I told you you're just going to save that lightest little bit of area back there. All we're really worried about is what it looks like on the top edge, right? None of this stuff down here matters. We can start to shape it and do all sorts of different things with our little bit of mountain down here. None of that stuff matters over there. It's all about what the top edge looks like. And as long as you got a nice crisp top edge, especially dark over where those clouds are, it wants to mix together and change. Right? We're trying to keep it nice and dark. Right, just the top edge. Nice bumpy edge too. It doesn't have to be all the same. Or very flat. You don't want it to be very flat. Nobody wants it to be flat. There we go. Take our mountain, start to pull it down. You don't have to cover it all either. You can let it be different like that, right? Maybe it comes over here, maybe it comes down. We got these little bits. Maybe they grow down this way. Maybe they grow off the edge. All depends. Maybe it takes and turns and goes back that way. And then depending on how we shape it, look at that, see? Now we've made our mountain more 3D. You take a little bit more of that dark color, we put it back in here, give ourselves another little ridge to play with and make cool things out of, right? Don't want to go down too far though. Definitely don't want to go down too far. So take a brush that doesn't have all that dark color on it and mix it in back here very softly. A little bit of pressure. You want it to mix in and become that little fogginess at the bottom. You don't want to have this crazy thing, right? Very cool. All right, let's mix up a little bit of our snowy color. Take a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the white. Come down here. I never grab enough to make it. Never, never, never. All right, a little bit of that dark color just to dull it down, just the smallest bit. And we've got like this grayish sort of shadowy snow, right? It's gonna play off of our white snow, which we're gonna grab, take a little bit of that gray, and make a much lighter color gray. Bam, now we have our two shadows that we can play off of. And they're not too different, they're not too far apart. Okay, you're gonna take our blue, and again, we got that ridge back here that we can't forget about. Maybe it goes off to the side, just leaving little bits, dumping a little bit of paint off there, never gonna know. A little bit more shadow, maybe it was back in here or over there. You can start to shape how your mountain looks. You don't want to lose all of the darkness though, so don't add too much shadow, right? We got to have some of that deep dark color from our mountain. And it goes over here, it covers up all that area. And now the darkness is going to become the area that we highlight with our whiter color, right? Now we come up here again, it's not perfectly white, so it's going to stand out against that kind of grayish blue color, and then you're going to have a cool little bit of shadow right there. Very neat. Dump it off in different places at different angles, and it'll look like different things are starting to happen, right? And then you can play around for days. Look at all this stuff. Maybe the snow got caught in there and it trickles its way down, or starts coming back. Maybe it got back up in there too. Who knows? We're not trying to cover all of it though, right? We're trying to leave little areas, little differences, little things, just by making a mess. Come down over here. Maybe it gripped on these guys. There's a little bit of snow as we start to pull it down. It starts to mix in. We don't want to lose all those little blue colors either, right? It doesn't all have to be the same. It starts to go off into the distance, and you get this cool little bit of mountain that's just basically back there just floating on itself. Very neat. Very cool. Very simply done. Not too difficult. Take these guys very softly, right? You don't really have to tap. You tap too hard, it's going to kill all those cool little things. So if we go up like this and make them very soft, you'll still have that bit of detail in there, but it's going to be nice and foggy and different at the base than it is at the top, right? Swiping in the directions that we swiped, the opposite direction. So if you came down, go up. If you came down this way, go up that way. Very soft, very easily, very simply done. Very cool little thing too as it contrasts off that very soft blue color. You get those cool shadows. Not too dark, not too deep. And then again, it always looks cool if you take a little bit of that mountainous color as well in our darker areas. And just try to sneak in a few little bits of that deeper, darker, purpley shadow that we made, right, initially to make the mountain. Get these cool little dark areas that just grow inside. And they'll give you your cool little differences in color. Little bits of rocks that never got color. They're too sharp. They're too steep to be covered up by the snow. So they never got any cover, right? Very cool little things. Again, anytime you go add a layer, go back, make it soft. Around the whole thing again. You're not going to overdo it just by making it soft, okay? Very simply and easily done. We might have gone too crazy actually over here. Why don't we take this guy, we'll scrape off all that bit of mountain and all that bit of snow, and then we'll bring in a new section right in front of it. That's why we have that darker paint. We saved that darker paint for a reason. We're not going to mix this one in with the white. We're going to come in here with that darker section, and as long as it's dark, it's going to look close, much closer than the mountain behind. And that's why we split up the colors like that. Look at this. Very cool little things, leaving it nice and dark as this mountain kind of grows its way down, right down in front of the other one. Adding little bits of darkness in different areas will create little different things as we go and start pulling our mountain out. And again, it's going to mix in with the color that's underneath and that liquid white. So very soft little pulls. You can start to shape what it looks like. Maybe it comes down this way, or it goes over here. We got this side, maybe it comes down. You can change it up in your mind, right? Start to pull it out, see what your shaping looks like. Maybe we had a ridge over here, so we can start to play, give it some 3D-ness, right? We don't want to have it all the same. This guy up here, he pulls down, there's another ridge over here. Why not? Fill it in, let it go down. You don't have to cover everything either, though. There we go. Nice and soft. All of a sudden we have another little mountain right in front of the other mountain, just with an illusion. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything special. We used a little bit darker of a paint. And from how we positioned it, we can now tell that this mountain is in front of that mountain back there. Very cool. Cool little things you can do. Right? And cool little things happen just when you swipe like that. And you become very much free with it. And you're like, oh, whatever, let's see what happens. I'm like, okay, I can work with that. I can see where we're going here. All right. On this guy, he's starting to become very much faded in with the last one, though. We need it to be a darker color if it's going to stand out and be in front. So don't lose too much of that darkness back there. Give him another little peek. Maybe it comes up over here. Just kind of mushing it in. Just leaving it in like that. Making sure it's the same amount of darkness as the rest. And all of a sudden we got a cool little bit of mountain hanging off the edge over there. Now let's go back. We'll make up a little bit more blue and white. All right, we used a little bit more blue in this one, so it's a little bit more vibrant, as you can see. Trying to get all of it off of my knife, because otherwise we're going to lose all that color. There we go, making that a little bit vibrant. Taking a little bit of maybe the black and the crimson, just the smallest little bit, mixing it in there so it's that little darkish, kind of duller gray color. But still very vibrantly blue. You can see that. Okay, now we're going to grab up our white again. Grab up a little bit of that blue, mix it over here, and it's going to become much brighter, but still not be perfectly bright white, right? We can save our bright whites as we get the closest to us. That's where I like to use my brightest white. So again, now we have a little bit different color and a little bit different color coming in on our next mountain. This guy, maybe we do the shadows right at the point of the mountain, and they pull off and they go down this way. Right, just pulling it out, letting it drag down. Doesn't have to cover everything, don't have to go all the way down. Maybe there's another little section in here off the back of this guy. And then you can start to shape what your mountain looks like. Right? Maybe there's a whole big section in here of a big slope like we did in that other one. That's going to look really cool when we come through there. Backside of this cliff, on there. Let's see. Maybe we'll throw these shadows off on this side of this guy, like he got caught with just a little bit of sunlight. Bam, just like that, bringing it down, right? Very cool little thing. Take this guy, pull him down this way. letting it blend in, grab up some of that darker color. Just a little bit though, you don't need a whole lot. You just want it to be darker down around the bottom in certain places than it is in different places. Just like that. Let it mix in. All right, throw a little bit of that deeper darkness up in here just because it's too blue. I don't want it to be so super blue, right? Some of that initial darker color. Tuck it in back there. And we can already start to build what our mountain's gonna look like, right? Just little deep dark colors are gonna be cool to bounce off of. You have to remember, you're gonna be bouncing off of a lot of these cool things, okay? Right here, coming in, shake it up. Doesn't have to cover everything. Don't want it to be even too crazy like that. Right? Gotta have it be jagged and messy. Bring it down. It starts to fall down that slope in there. But it doesn't have to cover everything because we're not gonna see every single thing, right? And just there, that one got a little bit too close. So we have to go back, add that darkness in that separates those mountains. Don't overkill all of our little dark lines. There we go. Keeps them separate from each other. Shoot, we could even let them work in together if we wanted to, really. Come back over here, let the thing come out. Oh, right down over the top. Very neat. Maybe there was a little slab of snow that came down, like a little glacier, and that's why we put that bit of blue shadow in there. This guy comes down in here, and he goes around the bottom. Get a cool little thing. Start to build it in your mind. Base it off of other mountains you've done in the past. It doesn't all have to be the same. You know, throw a little bit of difference in there. A little bit more of that bluish paint. Come down in here just so we can have something to mix with. A little bit of our highlight paint coming in here. Letting it mix in, letting it roll down, letting it go off in different areas. Having those deep dark shadows. You don't want to cover everything. I don't know how many times we've said that. Don't cover it all, please. Don't want you to cover it all. A little bit more of that white and blue. Pulling it down in different places just randomly so it'll look like a little bit different light and this crazy rockiness. Just a couple little bright areas on top of those shadows. You get the cool effects. Again, I don't want it to be so super thick that it's just a blob and there's nothing coming through. Gotta have some of those little, just scrape in a few little bits. Just scrape it in. That's all you gotta do. Scrape it up. Leave little differences, little things. Dump in little differences of color and throw them back in there. Very simply and easily got these very cool mountains that are now standing out right in front of us. Now, if you start to mix in and you lose, go back with your white, right? These are the mountains that are closest. They can have some of the white. Go back to our white color. Now we've got 3 different color shadows that are on our mountain down here. It's very cool. Not just one, but 3 different colors of shadows. Then you go back and highlight them with some pure white, just in our lighter areas. Right? Bringing it down. They don't all even have to connect. That's not what it's about. It's about differences in color and letting them work together. Just like that. You want it to be messy like that. You don't want them to connect to each other. That's not going to help us. If they're all connected, they're all going to be the same color, and then we're not going to have anything that we can work with. Right? Very softly, just little different things in different areas. We go back, we highlight those areas that we wanted to be extra bright. But not everything needs a highlight. Doesn't have to work like that. Very cool little things. Just like that, very jaggedy little mountain. Oh, he's jaggedy. He's like Mick Jaggedy. Yeah, I know it's not Mick Jaggedy. I know. Just trying to make a joke, guys. Jeez. A little bit more of that white. Just letting it blend in. Because we're going to make fog out of it anyway, right? Now, I'm going to kind of come back very softly in the same direction that we were swiping. So this side, we got to go up this way. Very softly. Now all of a sudden we have this very cool little bit of mountain. It's just kind of floating in our mist. Floating in the mist, right? And what are we going to do down here? What's the plan, Josh? What's the plan? Oh, I don't know. We're going to make it up. Make it up. You can always go in and tap it. If it's a little too thick, tap that color down a little bit. Very softly. Very softly. You get more little cool little details down there in the mist. If you don't cover them up with all your trees. Speaking of trees, we need to make up a whole big section of trees. So black, crimson, blue. Just a massive pile of paint. We're going to use it for a lot of different things, so it doesn't matter if you make a bit too much. You can always save it for later. Save it for later. Man, that's a lot. I'm trying to keep it all in one place. Get it all off my knife, grab it up, stick it back up there, scrape it all off, grab it up. All right. Just like that. Don't want to waste too much of it to the paper towels, right? Now we're going to come in. We're going to grab our darker color brush that we had to work on our clouds up here, very far away in the distance. What is that? Is that a bristle? Is that a bristle in my painting? It is. Just very softly getting rid of those little small little brush strokes. Just like that. Bam. Back to perfection. Okay. Now we need to make some little bits of forest down here. So let's take our brush. We're going to come like this into that darker color. And snag up a bit of the white though too. Because if we're going to make multiple little bits of forest, we need different colors, right? Grab up some more of that white. Different colors. So now we got this little gray color just like that. We're going to come in here, start to pop in little bits of faraway trees that live back there. Right? Might even take one guy like this and make him like the big boss man tree. He lives out in the forest, just protects everybody. Right? Just like that. A little bit of detail off in the distance. Just by tapping down on it. Don't want to go too far up into your snow though. It's very difficult when you get up here into the snow to keep these dark colors and the lighter colors from getting all mushed in together. Very difficult. So don't go too far up. Just little dabs, and then we'll cover the rest of it. You want to cover around the bottom. Don't want to show too many little holes through the bottom. Just like that. Now, this very cool little bit of forest off in the distance, right? Take these guys so softly and just swipe them up. Just makes them a little bit flatter. Come in here, start to really pound on the canvas, bringing the color down, going back up, getting some, bringing it down, back up, getting some, bringing it down, until we start to achieve this little foggy look like that. Blend it in. Now we got a little bit of fog at the bottom of the forest. Very simply, very easily, just like that. I want to get a little bit of that black on the brush. Mix it in with that darker color. We're not going to go mixing into the lighter color paint here. And maybe we may be down far enough. Let's throw a big tree in here and we'll see. This is just right through the top, right down to the bottom. We're going to leave it off to the side like that. Now we're going to put a much bigger one off in the much closer. Start to tap this guy. Try to block out all the little bits of color back in the distance, leaving all these little fingers, right? Go back, get a little bit more paint. Come back in here. Dab, 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 dab. Going down, missing different sections. You don't want it to be overly filled, right? Don't want to do it overly filled. Come back, really make sure it's nice and thick and nasty. And now all of a sudden we brought our whole bit of forest all the way over here. And I don't want to do too much because we don't have too much to work with. Too much room to work with. So let's take this guy. We can all of a sudden we'll make like a little bit of land right off in here. Just letting him blend in with the colors that are underneath. And that liquid white's going to make it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until all of a sudden you won't be able to really tell where that hard line was. Very cool. Very neat. Maybe we could stick a cabin back there. We haven't done a cabin in a minute, and since we're not going to do anything over all this big amount of paint, let's take our cabin and we'll come back in here like this and we'll go just a little guy. Take the point of the knife up like that. Let's work in his little bit of roof. We'll pull him off to the side. Always have to go down a bit further with the roof than you think you need to. For some reason. Don't ask why, but that's just it. Come over here, pull straight down, and now we have our own little cabin off in the distance. Can you see it? I don't think we got out any brown. That's okay. Now, depending on where we pull out on our cabin, right? If we pull out down here around the bottom, he's about on the same distance as, our house. We go back a little bit further, pull up a little bit further. Now he's pushed back a little bit. Now he can walk down to the tree. See what I mean? First he was down here. Now he's up here. The further and further you go, the further it'll push him back. So be careful. Let's take a little bit of that same kind of color, come off the edge. a couple little jaggedy lines. Just by pushing down and pulling up. That's really it. Gotta have a little roll of paint on the knife. Push down, pull up. All of a sudden we got a little bit of fence in between him and the bush. Now everywhere that we have that, those little guys, or if it's super thick, take a little bit of, just like that. Very small little things though. You don't want it to get too big like this guy. If it's too big, then it doesn't make any sense. All right, and we have to have them go just a little bit over the top, Josh. Just a little bit. And you don't want to make them too big. Don't make them too big. And then with the bottom, what do we always say? You can shape it. You can pull it back. You can push them back however far you want to make them. All right? Just like that. Now they're back. Back where they belong back there. All right? Very cool. Very neat. Very simple. Very easy. Little things. Try to get rid of some of that thick paint that's still stuck on there. Just might make it a little bit easier to put our next color on. All right, now we need to come back in, grab up a little bit of white, come back in here with our little whitish snow, mix that up. Maybe grab the touch, see if we can't get it to sit just on top of that dark. You don't want to cover all the dark, you just want to sit it on top. Now with a very, very, very small bit, we're going to come in. Why is there so much paint up my knife? Hang on. See, again, these are things that we cut out because why do you want to see this? Like, what happened? How did I get not paint all the way up the edge? And then it's on my finger every time I'm trying to do something. I don't get it. Okay. Gonna come back. Do I get some yellow ochre on my arm down here? Probably is. Okay, a little bit, tiny little things. And where's all of our lights? So it's on this side. So it's on the right-hand side. Don't cover up all of the shadow. Please don't cover up all the shadow. I'm begging you. There we go. And pull it to the side. You got a cool little fence post just like that. All right, let's work on our cabin. We need a little bit of a shadowy color. Take that wood, get that blue, pull it straight down, come up in here. This shadowy, soft little bit of cabin wood. Take our little bit of that kind of whitish color. Again, it's not the pure white. Pull it straight down though, Josh. Don't make it on an angle. All right, we get a little wood grain out of that. Take our door, scrape it out before you go and take the dark color and put it in. You don't want to have too much paint on there. Maybe take a little bit of that kind of bluish or whitish snow. We can put it down here. Start to pull it out. And then that'll give us something to use with our brush and make it very, very, very soft. Don't want to overdo it. You do it too many times, you'll lose all that white in there, right? Just very soft, little different things. And then you can go back and make it as thick as you want. But for right now, that looks pretty good. Take a little bit of a dark line, throw it on the edge, and that'll keep our house in perspective. If we have that little difference in color, then we'll know that's where the house kind of turns. And we have our other bit that needs a little bit darker of a shadow back there. Just because it's not so bright on that side of the cabin. Yeah, a little bit of our dark line. Really helps if you can see the dark line. There we go. Again, anything underneath, take and just get rid of it. It's just simply like that. Simply get rid of it by pushing it away. We can add more stuff in there. We're going to do one more big tree over here. So let's take our brush. I'm going to come back in, grab up our liquid white into our titanium white right here. Come down through that blue just a little bit, just so it's a little different. Remember, we want the liquid white in there to keep it nice and sloppy. It's got to be sloppy so it comes off the brush, but we don't want to coat the entire brush with it. Right? You don't want to coat the whole brush bristles, just the end. Come over here, maybe scrape up a little bit of that little barky color. A little bit of bark in our tree back there. Not too much though. Not too much. Now come back very softly, maybe touch the tip just so it's right there. and come in and very softly start to dab upwards. Not covering all of the tree, not covering all of the trunk or all of the shadow. Right? Coming out here on the edge, getting a few of those little guys just a little bit brighter. But again, you don't have to cover everything. Not everything has to be the same color or anything like that. Get a little bit, there we go. Beauty, that little beautiful bit right there. Gotta have some of those guys in the darkness in the back. They deserve to be dark. They're way back there. Way back in the deep shadow. So we gotta keep them dark. Our house looks good. Need a little bit of thing. We could throw like a river in here. We could do all sorts of stuff. What if we put like a little river bank kind of running through just with a little bit of dark line like that. Right? Scrape her up, scrape her in, cut it in, and then we're going to pretend all this stuff underneath is water instead of snow. Very lightly, right? Just so we can have a couple little reflective things. We'll come in from this side. Very cool. We're going to add the reflection of our tree. You don't need a whole lot of paint for this, and now we're going to do it on the downward side because we're in the water. But again, you don't need a whole lot of paint. Seriously, very softly, or you'll lose it, and it'll just be this one big black blob. Okay, very softly, and then don't overwork it. Now you got a reflection of our tree right there. Just stick it back. There we go. Very cool. In our little pinkish water, right? And you can take and do whatever you want. You can make the bottom a little bit darker, just mixing it in. A little bit of that darkness back in here. Right, so we have these little differences in color, and then all of a sudden we have this cool little bit of watery lake. It's really neat, really sheeny, shiny. Take our bit of liquid white and come in here. Just scrape in our area where the water meets the land. Very soft. And then any part of your liquid white that you don't like, you can literally take it, blend it, pull it down, slide it to the side, do whatever you want to do, just so there's a little bit of difference in there. And then I see there's a little teeny tiny little bit that might look pretty if it had a little splash on it. There's a little splash over there, some kind of something. Very soft little splashes. See how they want to grow real fast? Very soft little things. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, now, to finish off the bottom, why don't we do, first we're going to cover it with snow, because we always forget that part, Josh. Very, very textured little bit of snow down in there, off to the side, bringing it down to our level where our little guy is, right? Looks super messy, so messy. And then we start to shape it and become very soft. Little soft little humps of snow. Don't want to lose all those shadows. Don't want to lose anything, right? Back in here, I keep wondering why there's so much paint on me. Back in here, maybe we get a little bit of darkness back there. Kind of raises the level of the land up. Maybe underneath here. Don't want to overdo it, obviously. Don't want to do too much. Got to be sort of level when we're doing it, which is always hard for me because I'm on this weird angle. There we go. A little bit of our white. Come down. We just kind of raise that bit of water level, our bit of land up. Raised it up. Hold it off. Hopefully straight. Doesn't have to be perfect, remember. A little bit more of that liquid white. It's so liquidy, just like water. Just mix it up until you think it looks good. Maybe this guy comes out over here. Or we add a few more ripples. Right? Add a couple ripples, little differences, cool little things that when we go and we, make them soft. Because we always got to go back, make it soft. That's Josh's way. Make it soft. These cool little differences in our water, little different things, very neat, very cool. Don't know why I'm just covered in blue paint, or where I picked it up from, or what I did. And see, this is another thing we would edit out of the videos. But again, we do it live. Whatever you see is what happened. And, that's how we do it. We're going to chuck a giant old tree in here. You ready? You guys ready? Look, like all my brush handles are blue. I have no idea where I picked it all up from. Or what I laid it down in. And this one's going all blue again. Okay, now we're gonna get back to painting. I promise we'll get back to painting. Okay, let's see here. Now we've got our little river. We're gonna throw a little tree over here. And when I say little, I mean gigantic. So get ready. Are you ready? Again, maybe it's coming from the fan brush. Here we go. We go right into the stuff. Right into all the nastiness. Oh, it's so nasty. Again, not making it too thick, not making it too high up the bristles of the brush. But we're not going to do a big old tree like this. That's going to take so much effort, right? We're going to come in here, make a soft little bit. And as we come down, we're going to push harder and harder and harder and turn the brush sideways so it takes up more room. We want to cover up stuff. Go back in, fill it all in. Look at that. Now we've just taken away, we've pushed our little bit of riverbank back, and now we're on the opposite side of the river, looking over at our little house that we have to get to. Oh my goodness, could we do a bridge? How would Josh do a bridge? It would have to come out, I don't know, maybe no bridge. The bridge is around the side. Okay, sorry. There we go. Put our little darker color back in the bottom so it looks like we got some trees off to the edge. Very neat. And this guy, I think he's got to have just a few little bits of bush down around the bottom, which we could do with a fan brush or any other brush, doesn't matter. Just like that, cover it up. Now we got a cool little piece. Boom. You don't have to go all the way to the edge, but you can if you want. You don't have to. You don't have to. Okay, now we need a couple arms off the edge of this guy. So let's go into our paint thinner, bring it out, dab it onto our palette a few times, 5-6 times with our liner brush. Right? Look at all that stuff. It wants to run. I gotta catch it all. We're gonna mix it up into all those things. Very liquidy, very wet. Twist and roll the brush as we go through. Right, rolling it, trying to leave a nice sharp edge on the end. And then we'll come up and decide what our branches are going to look like. Come out in front of the sunset, helps push it back. Right? Being nice and jiggly. You want to be jiggly. That's key right there. Gives you the cool little wicked little branches. Right? And then if our branch gets too thick, we just have to widen it down around the bottom. So be careful how thick you let them get on the way out. You don't want to let them get too crazy thick. And anytime there's like a big kink, I like throwing another little piece off. Why not? Why not? Little lines, little things. You can always extend, make our trunk even taller. Right? Go up a little bit and make it make sense to however you want to paint it. And come off over there. Little bits, little things can happen on our tree. Very cool. And again, making the trunk big enough to where it can hold that amount of weight back there, right? Let's see, maybe there's one over here, but we got to make it big and thick and nasty through all that paint. And then come back and make it dark, so get more. Come back in. It's got to stand out away from all that stuff back there as being in the foreground, right? Not attached to the mountain, not a part of the mountain, but being in the foreground. So it must stand out, just like that. Big old thick nasty branch. Branch, my man. Anyone else seen Trolls, or is it just me? Okay. And there's not too much else I want to do off of that guy. We can throw like a little teeny tiny, little bit of a little guy that comes off of there. Maybe, you know, my one that I love that likes to poke out and jab me in the shoulder. That's my dude. He's always hitting me. Little branch comes out towards us, right? That helps it feel like it's coming out towards us anyway. Another little one. Ooh, that one just shot straight through all of that paint. That was lucky. Because when you come up to the edge, a lot of times it does not want to go over that white paint, and you really got to be careful how far you want to go, how much, paint thinner and color are left in your bristles of your brush. Otherwise you're going to run out and it's going to look funky. Just like that, across the edge of that little glacier back there, whatever it is. Very cool. Going to fill this guy in, make him a little bit more dark around the backside. Very cool, just like that. Don't want to cut off our branch too much up here. Make this guy. All right, you can always extend the length of your trunk to make it make sense. It's a very cool little thing. Okay, now we need to throw some highlight around the edge of this guy first. All right, taking our little bit of snowy color and just pulling it to the side. Get that whitish snowy color and get this frozen old tree trunk. But you only want to do about half. You don't want to go all the way to the side and cover it all. So the more and more that we get up to the top, the less and less and less we do. Right? Just like that. Doesn't have to even cover the whole thing. And if it's too bright in a certain area, you go back over it a few times until it changes to however you want it to look. Maybe on some of our longest branches, you can throw a little bit of that highlight in there. It doesn't have to be everywhere. Maybe that big old thick guy, he got a piece of light on him. These ones up here, too small. Too small in my opinion to be able to see anything. But this guy that jabs me in the shoulder, he's got to have a little bit of light on him. Just like that. Fantastic. All right. Let's clean off the old dirty dark fan brush. It's always the same color, this fan brush, because I always use it to make the shadows of all the trees and stuff. Always the dark fan brush. It's like the dark hold. It's the dark fan brush. Okay. Man, that looks fantastic. I really like that. We got to highlight these guys down around the bottom. So we're going to take our lighter colored fan brush, go through that liquidy white paint, and down in here, see if we can pick up any little amount of that blue. Come back up in here, just make little things, differences. Don't want to touch everything. Maybe turn the brush the other way. Little areas of highlight and areas of not, right? That's all you really need. Just like so. Boom. Maybe a big bright one right out in the middle, just like that. Whatever it is, we like it. Boom. Just like that. That's fantastic. We got a little bit of wipe up on the bottom just so I'll be able to grab the thing when we're done. And then we'll sign it, actually, right back in there, that little dark area. Take our brush, liquid white, got to put the family in, obviously. Give me a chance. Take this guy, very small. Yeah. Ba-boom. I like it. I like it, guys. I like it. Okay, we need a little bit of that dark color, so go back into our paint thinner, over into our dark color, very, very, very small amount on our very, very, very small brush. Twist as we go through and pull away. That should create a point on the end of the brush, and then we'll come up here with the maul stick into the area and very lightly make those little M-shaped birds. I didn't come up with these birds, but I decided to use them in my paintings as myself, my wife, and my daughter, and they go into every painting as part of the signature. It's the only way we get to travel together. And I've encouraged more people to, use the birds as their own family. If you've got 6 people in your family, do 6 birds. If you've lost somebody like we did yesterday on Friday, and we just did the 1 bird to signify, Lennon's mom. So as many as you want or as little as you want, or don't even put them in there. That's a possibility as well. All right, gonna wash that off. I'll just go wash all the brushes again. So I hope you guys had a great time doing this one. I hope you try it and you go get one of these crazy weird canvases. Everybody's got a funky shaped canvas that they don't know what to do with. So this was the one that I decided to try today, and it turned out fantastic. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, for checking it out, for watching, for sharing, for all the stars. Make sure you like, make sure you comment on the video, and that just helps send it out to more people and helps me reach more eyeballs, right? So I don't know why I said the eyeballs, like so weirdly. But yeah, so until I see you guys again next time, either Friday night freestyle, Sunday morning seascapes, or on Wednesday when you're watching this video now, or 5 seconds from now when you restart and we re-watch the video and try to paint the painting again. So until we see you again next time. Until we see you again next time, take care, have the rest of a good day, and hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 10 by 20 inch canvas. Come in close. Let's get in close together. Hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 16. That just shows you we do way too many 16 by 20 inch canvases. That's for sure. Way too many of them. All this blue paint, I have no idea where it came from. Okay.